There's more to storytelling than just reciting data. It's the difference between a novel and a shopping list. There's nuance, tone, pace. There's communications. We all communicate every day. But when and how did we learn how to communicate? East Central High School AV production teacher David McGinnis and student Christopher Twiss are here to talk about talking. Welcome to BexarCast. I'm Randy Langford, and this is BexarCast, a weekly interview with business, political, educational, and nonprofit leaders. We're examining the relationships between all four and how each one benefits from the success of the other three. David McGinnis is the AV production teacher at East Central High School. Prior to this, he attended film school at UT Arlington and worked as a video editor in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Christopher Twiss is a senior in the AV production program at East Central and is currently planning to study music business at San Antonio College. David and Christopher, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking some time to spend with me on the BexarFest.
Hi, thanks for having us.
And let me do a quick introduction. David McGinnis is the AV teacher at East Central High School, and Christopher Twiss is one of his students. And I'm going to talk to you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about your experience at BexarFest. David, let me start with you. You've been coming to BexarFest for 4 years now. You've been a part of every one of them, and I notice a trend here that you've been involved with arts organizations every year. Usually music, but not necessarily. How do you and your team go about choosing what nonprofits you want to work with? Because that's one of the aspects of BexarFest is you have some say in who you're going to be paired with.
Well, I guess when we first started out, it was a much smaller group, and we had a little bit of discussion. But I kind of felt personally, as far as what my own interests were, as well as what I knew we could do well, it seemed like the arts and humanities area was something that would be a lot of fun for us. And the first year we did a piece with Conjunto Heritage Taller, and we really enjoyed doing that. It's like, okay, well, hey, music, that's kind of our thing. And then last year when we were working with San Antonio Soundgarden, Chris was in the class as a junior, and obviously he's a musician, composer, songwriter, and so it was a really good fit to just kind of stick with the music theme.
Right. And in the middle there was San Antonio Cultural Arts. Mm-hmm. That was an interesting project that you guys worked on, that you brought a musical aspect to that, and that was interesting. This is the first year we've had the podcast category at BexarFest, and you guys won it. Nicely done.
Thank you.
and Chris, as I understand, you were involved in that, but you were also involved in creating the original music for East Central, for your entry in the festival. Tell me about that process. I've never talked to a music producer before, and I am the least musical guy you're ever going to meet.
You have a keyboard back there, though.
I do. That's a painting. It's not real. Okay. I have musical aspirations, but no talent. Put it that way. Tell me a little bit about your process. How do you come up? How do you create music?
So we kind of just sit there with a MIDI pad, GarageBand open, and the video open, kind of playing all simultaneously. And it's almost like I make the groove first, or like the ideas, I put them down and I fill it in as we go along. But usually to start off with, I make sure there's an instrument that really kind of like captures like the melody, or like something catchy to where it's like captivating to watch and listen to, but It doesn't go so far out of the video's comfort zone that, it's like really odd and like obscure music. It's just like, especially with like Mojo Rimba, you think about marimbas, so you kind of like use that sort of sound to go off of, and you give it expression in that light, and you give it the same expression as all the interviews give it. You know what I mean?
And that's interesting that you bring up Mojo Rimba, the guys that you featured in your video. What's it like writing music about a musical organization? That's got to be a little narrow lane that I put you in there.
Well, it's kind of like Inception, a dream inside of a dream.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of a lot easier than one would think because you see what they do, and so
Right.
you kind of get the aesthetic from watching them, and it's easy to transfer that because you can tell a lot of things about the group's energy, the way that they communicate, and I'm kind of decent at like putting that into sound.
Okay.
So I did that.
We talked about in the early stages how, if you're just going to make music for a video, if it's like for a short film, for example, then you'll talk to the director and you'll listen to kind of, hey, this is kind of what I wanted to sound like. This is what it's inspired by, but it's generally very open.
Right.
But in a case like this, it's like we were basically given the palette of colors to work with. Like
Right.
we know we want it to fit Mojo Rimba. So we know it's going to have marimba, obviously.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be upbeat. We know it's an organization about kids, so it's going to be, major key.
Childish.
It's going to be fun. And then it's really just kind of picking the right sounds and grooves and rhythms to pair with the video.
Right.
Nice. Well done.
We switched like the first part at least like 4 times.
Yeah, a lot of rewriting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pixel, and I work in the video field, so my expression is pixels are cheap. Let's shoot a lot of footage and use the best part. So write a lot of versions, use the best one.
Right.
Absolutely, I get it. David, I want to come back to you a little bit and talk about your participation in BexarCast. Chris, you've been in it 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
David, you've been in it 4, and tell me what brings you back. What keeps you coming back? Because you're a school teacher. You guys don't have a lot of spare time, and so you're taking on an extra project with extra responsibilities, not only in the classroom but outside the classroom. There's travel involved, and there's scheduling, and there's a lot of. It's not an easy thing to bring a team to BexarCast. What makes you want to do that?
Well, to be honest with you, it's a lot of things. It fits really neatly in the curriculum that I do here because in that particular class, we are doing our weekly campus broadcast and people are making short films and documentaries in conjunction with that or independently. And so the kind of work that we produce with BexarCast, it fits really neatly within what we're already doing. And so what it really presents for those students is an opportunity to do what they already do for a grade at a semi-professional level for
Right.
a client. That it's not like you're not just turning in a documentary about an organization and I give you a grade for it. It's like you're actually trying to please a client. And so it's a really cool opportunity for one. Also, I mean, there's nothing else like this. It's not the same as, we make work in a vacuum and we send it off to UIL or
Right.
San Antonio Film Festival where you just kind of, it just goes into the vat of entries and you cross your fingers. We know that whatever we produce at BexarCast is genuinely going to be used to further the interests of the organization that we're paired with. And so the students who work on that stuff know that their work is really making an impact. Like it leaves the room, right. It will live on beyond them. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we ran into Adam Tudor with San Antonio Soundgarden at the festival. Awesome guy, big fans of Adam. And he told us that, he still uses the video that we made for them last year.
Right.
They still show it at investor meetings and to promote their organization. It's like, hey, we did that. We're part of it. And it has a life beyond
like just that.
Yeah, just beyond that, or even the students that were part of that project last year and then graduated, it's still going even though they're not.
Right. When we designed BexarCast, when we came up with the concept 4 years ago, it would have been just as easy to make it internally focused. Your team is going to make a video about your school or your band or your football team or some program, something focused on the school. And we very deliberately focused it outside the school on nonprofit organizations because we wanted exactly what you're talking about, is that the video lives on, that it has real meaning. It's not just an exercise. You have real clients who have real expectations and real needs, and they're counting on you to tell their story. So I'm glad it worked out that way. Since you've been coming to BexarCast for 4 years now, and Chris, you've been here for a couple of years, have you changed your approach? Do you go at BexarCast any differently than you did 4 years ago?
I mean, if anything, I'm trying to phrase. How do I want to phrase this? It's a really great measuring stick for us and for our program to go to the gala and see what other schools are doing,
Okay.
and what they're doing better than us, and where we want to improve. And we see, what kind of videos work really well, and so it's a learning opportunity, just to kind of get out there and mingle with the other schools.
Right, yeah.
And I think there's a healthy kind of competition.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we know when we go every year, like we know who the big dogs are, and we just
right.
And we kind of like cross our fingers that this is the year. And so that it provides, an additive incentive, because the kids that go,
Yeah.
Chris got to go twice, and there are a couple others, students who were there for the first time this year that will get to go next year, and they've been through that experience, and they know how high the bar is for the quality of work. It's like, okay, they came back, or like, okay, we know what we need to do next year. We know how we can improve. And that really, that kind of initiative and choosing to learn how to improve, the self-improvement aspect of it, is something that really helps you, in the career field later on.
And again, you're landing on all the points that I like to make, is that it's a workforce development. There's a workforce development component to the festival, that even the kids that don't go into the media are learning job skills that will apply to any field.
Right.
Working with a client, negotiations, resource allocation. It doesn't matter if you're in the media or if you're an accountant. Those are skills you're going to need. So I'm very aware of the workforce development component of that. Another thing teachers have told me, and I'll see if this is your experience, and Chris, you tell me, what I've had teachers tell me is when the kids first find out they're going to be in BexarFest, they get the basic understanding of the concept. We're going to make a video about a nonprofit organization, but it's the first half of that sentence that they focus on. We're going to make a video. That's exciting. That's different. That's not something we do every day. It's going to be fun. This is playtime. We get to play with the cameras, and we get to tell a story, and we get to make music, and da-da-da-da-da. Then they meet their nonprofit, and it's like somebody throws a switch. This is suddenly very serious.
Right.
These are real people with real needs that are really counting on us to help them tell their story. Has that been your experience? Do your kids respond that way? Chris, did you respond that way?
Probably. I mean, no, because, it's like we go there knowing like what we're going to do. You know what I mean? So it's like we know that we're already going to work with the client. So we figure out a way to communicate effectively with that client and communicate effectively amongst each other. And I've noticed that over the period that we are working on the project for the client, the communication skills get better and better. We get closer as people. And so that makes us grow. And so next time we go and do something like this for like a nonprofit organization or somebody that wants the services, like making a video, we know usually how they want it, usually how they want, we try to figure out how they want to be communicated with, and we figure out like if there's anything like personal they want in the video. So it's pretty much like over time, it like we all like get closer. It's not like, there's like a switch there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think what Chris is describing is maybe the kind of experience that to your question, may more closely describe our experience the first time we participated, when we weren't really sure what it was. But now that we've done it for 4 years running, and everyone who comes into the program understands that, like, hey, this is a cornerstone element of what we do in this class. Yeah. And they've seen the videos that we did before, and there's always, honestly, there's anticipation about, okay, hey, who are we going to be paired with this year? Or
nice.
I wasn't on the team last year. I really want to do it this year. Yeah. Find a place for me.
Right.
And they take it really, really seriously. So I mean, I think that's hopefully that's an encouragement to you that like we really do take it seriously, and we think about the questions we ask, and we work on the communications and the logistical aspects and the production schedule and managing the people and the equipment, and then putting it all back on the post-production side, and be like, okay, well, whatever your other responsibilities were up to this point, now you're focusing on this. And we just kind of go off into our respective areas of expertise and make it happen.
Right.
And that is probably as much a reflection of the program that we have at East Central, where it really does function like a production unit where everyone kind of has their niche, their skills. We've got brilliant camera operators and editors and composers and people who think about the storytelling.
Right.
And it's a great kind of microcosm of what we want to prepare them for when they go out into the real world, if they're going to film school or if they're going to go into the industry, or even if it's something completely different. Those teamwork and those collaboration and communication skills absolutely will transfer.
And that's why we're trying to make it as real world experience as we can, because I don't want it to just be an exercise in playtime. It's serious business, and I'm glad your kids take it seriously. I'm glad your students take it seriously. One of the comments I've gotten back from some teachers is that some of their students, you describe people playing different roles, and some of the students are shy and retiring and don't really want to be on camera, don't really want to engage with the client. And what I've heard from some of the other faculty members is kids come out of that shell. Because this is the first time a lot of these kids, and you keep me honest here, the first time a lot of these kids have dealt with an adult on a peer-to-peer level. In the past, it's been parent-child, student-teacher, and now it's client-vendor.
Yeah,
I'm your vendor, you're my client, we have to communicate on a whole new level.
Yeah,
and
there's a huge
element. It gives that opportunity.
Yeah, there's a huge element of trust on my part where I'm like, okay, well, we come up with the schedule, and I say, okay, you're going to take the equipment, and you are going to go to this place, and you are going to shoot the footage and do the interviews, and we have a good plan, and I'm trusting you, and I'm not going to be there.
Oh my gosh!
Gonna see
you really do turn them loose.
Yeah. And so like they know, like when they show up at the location, it's like, okay, I am representing the program, I am representing the school, I'm here to do the best work I can, as seriously and professionally as I can, and every year I am happy with the results because they, like we said, we really do take it seriously. And you know, like you say, you know, they've almost like, usually they've never done anything like that before. Like they're not going to an unfamiliar place with the camera and they're expected to come back with something really useful, you know? Right. And so that in itself is a huge learning experience. Just the accomplishment of, hey, I went out on a professional shoot and it was successful and I did my job.
What was that like, Chris?
It was very organic for me. I realized that I'm like, I really want to do this like as a career, to push it forward, because it's definitely like it's a really nice experience when you create work that is enjoyable for a group of people. Then you can get it out to more groups of people, so on and so forth, and maybe that piece of entertainment is gonna make someone's day, or it
will improve this organization because they use it for you know, they use it to raise money, they use it to you know, bring in volunteers and clients and people who are going to interact with it.
It's like a you know, you hit one domino, the rest come falling down.
Right.
And that's what it's like. It's really nice. I enjoyed both of the times that I went and recorded clients and made music for them. It's been really nice. Adam Tudor always comes up to me and he's like, "Sick beat, man."
Adam's a high energy guy.
I love that.
Fun. How has it changed your perception of nonprofit organizations? Because again, what I get back from a lot of the faculty members is this is the first time their kids have engaged with any nonprofit. And this goes well beyond just, you know, an hour taking the tour of this nonprofit organization or even an afternoon of stuffing envelopes. I mean, you're engaged for weeks. You're locked into this for weeks at a time. How has it changed what you think about nonprofit organizations?
Use the word nonprofit. I don't know. It's not really a bad thing. Okay, so I go to work outside of school, right? But this is the only work that seems fulfilling to me. Okay. So it's really odd. So I can understand that. I didn't get paid to make the music for this video. You know what I mean? So they're not. So
you're a volunteer. You volunteered.
Yeah. Well, they're not. Also, they're not getting paid for. You know, keeping anyone there. They're all there by their own accord, by their own will. that is respectable in itself.
And it's inspiring.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Because seeing the dedication of the people who work with these nonprofits, it feeds your dedication to your own craft. And
Nice.
you want to seems almost nonprofit.
Yeah, it makes you want to give as much to them as you see them putting into their organization.
Right.
And, like, you want to live up to the care and the effort
Nice.
that they've earned.
Nice. Well done. Well said. So tell me about the gala. What does that mean when you walk into the Tobin and get to see your video on a 4-story screen? How it make your heart race? Make your mouth dry? Make your palms itch?
I love attention, so
you're in the right business.
Yeah, I don't mind the attention. For somebody else maybe, but it's more like, yeah, my stuff's on the big screen. I'm fine with this. It's playing on the Tobin speakers. I'm with that. Like, that's fun. You know, like, I like that.
Chris is in the minority there, but the rest of the group, they were freaking out every single time.
Yeah.
It's almost like an out of body experience. And when, like,
scary.
Yeah. And like when we found out that we won for best photo collection, the main student who took the pictures, Leonard, he just couldn't even believe it. Like, it literally wasn't even processing in his brain. Those are my pictures on screen.
Up, right?
Yeah, those are my pictures on screen, and they just gave me an award for it. That doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. And so if it's your first time going through something like that, like, it is an overwhelming experience because you're there in the Tobin. It's a beautiful building,
right.
Massive theater.
There's a good amount of people.
Yeah, a lot of people there.
Dressed
fancy. You've got Batman walking around in the foyer,
and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and like, you know, every time we go, you know, half of the group has never encountered anything like that before. It's
they
the first time
leave smiling.
Yeah.
And they leave smiling. It's awesome.
Mission accomplished. We did good.
Yeah, an enormously fulfilling experience. I think
it's interesting that's what we want to do. We want to take your breath away. We want kids to realize their contribution is valuable. It's important, and we appreciate it, and we respect what they have done, and we want to treat it with the proper amount of grandeur. And so we could have the premiere anywhere, but we don't do it in a high school gym. We don't do it in a cafeteria. We do it in the San Antonio crown jewel of San Antonio's arts, and give you the due respect that you've earned.
Yeah, and it also allows you to see, especially when you see the whole night in context, it allows you to kind of get some perspective on just like all of the really cool things that are happening in the city. And it's like we're one piece of it, but like there's a lot going on, and it's really cool and
inspiring.
It's really inspiring, and you see other things like, oh man, that you know, I'd like to, you know, maybe work with that organization sometime, where I want to find more out about that, where you're flipping through the program and like you see you know, the work done by these other schools and other organizations. Like, man, it's just really cool just to be a part of it, honestly.
Right. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. The last thing I want for this is to be a grind. If it's got to be fun, because if we're going to engage kids, it's got to be something that fires them up. That's why we let the schools choose which nonprofit they want to work with. I'm not going to assign you a nonprofit and make you work with something that you're not passionate about. If you're not into it, it'll show. So I want everybody to be as enthusiastic as possible. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, one of the things I wanted to touch on, is the project management aspect of creating the suite of assets that you're creating for Mojo Rimba. It wasn't just a video. It wasn't just original music. You talk about everybody playing their role. This is a big team, and all those elements have to come together at once to show up at the Tobin that night. What have you realized about this? Is a lot of project management. There's more to creating art than just creating art. We have to bring our team together and make this happen. Was that surprising?
I don't know. Was it surprising?
I mean, it wasn't always easy.
No, it wasn't always easy. There are definitely moments where you're kind of hitting your head against the wall, trying just to like find your way in, especially with, you know, the podcast category is a really interesting case, because not only has Bearfest never offered that as a category, none of us have ever attempted to make one before.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, okay, well, where do we start? What's the format going to be? It's like, how are we going to use what we have already? Do we need to go record more stuff? What is it going to sound like? Like, we got to figure all that out.
And they did. Here's an excerpt from the podcast East Central High School students recorded for their nonprofit partner, Mojo Rimba.
Because it's like, you have a special connection with that instrument. Just leaves me to wonder how this all started,
Oh, it's actually very interesting. While I was there, I actually talked with Miss Anderson, Bonnie Anderson, the teacher herself, and this is actually what she said about how it started.
I saw a group at the Texas Music Educators Association play on marimbas like the ones that we use, and I just thought what they were doing was amazing, and I said to myself, I want my kids to do that. So I went and figured out where to buy the marimbas, learned how to teach it, and it just blossomed from there.
That's a very interesting answer from Bonnie there.
So it's just lots of conversations and talking and experimenting and trying different things and listening to other podcasts. It's like, okay, well,
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, well, we like how we listen to a little bit like Reply All or Radio Lab, and we listen to like how they cut things together.
I listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Well, that's more. It's okay. Well, we kind of decided, okay, so maybe it's going to be like a conversation. Be a conversation, and then one student, Race, will be kind of telling the story of what he learned while talking to people, et cetera, et cetera. And then my job is basically to be the air traffic controller who's flitting around to all of the different working groups, checking in and making sure that all the planes land on time.
Yeah, like a fresh.
Yeah. So it's like I'm monitoring, but I don't really get to like work like really closely with any one group. It's like, okay, checking in, how's it going? Okay, that sounds good, keep working. And then I talk to my graphic designer. Hey, the poster looks good. What if you move this over here? And then I talk to my editor, Frank. It's like, hey, this cut looks really good. Let's maybe tighten this part up here. Let's tweak this, and just kind of the constant, circulation.
Makes you trust your ideas a little more.
Right. I try to give a certain level of, you have to feel like you are in creative control, right? So it's not my job as the instructor to completely micromanage everything. You want to give autonomy and freedom so that when it's all said and done, you feel like it's yours. You feel like it's your work. And maybe I had input on it, but my name's not on it. Your name is on it.
It's like the expression, it all comes together.
Right, right.
Well, David, that's an interesting point you make about the creative ownership, I guess is the way to describe it. Chris, what was it like that, I'm writing the music, but I'm not creating the video. I don't get to decide what comes and goes from the video. There's that teamwork aspect of it that a lot of people who aren't involved in BexarCast or creating this kind of media think it's one filmmaker, I make a film. Well, no, it's a filmmaker, and it's a composer, and it's an editor, and it's a graphic designer, and it's a photographer. It's a team. And again, when we designed BexarCast, that was very deliberate, that we made it to where you have to learn to work as a team. Was how difficult was that?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with getting out of the way, so it's not like it was like a huge deal for me, but it almost like gives us roles because we fall into place.
Right.
Like people edit, I make the music, and I'll sit there and I'll make the music for, like the time that I need to make it. And the editor will spend the time that he needs to make his work the best that he can, and everyone else, like in the podcast of photography, they all work simultaneously doing things.
And we all trust each other that, everyone who's in their role.
It usually comes all together.
Yeah. And it, like I said at the beginning, it's really an extension of the work that we do already with our ECTV broadcast. Where
so we're always working on group projects.
We're already working in groups, and people have their lanes, people have their strengths, and they know that when they come onto the BexarCast team, that they're going to be asked to play to their strengths, and everyone on the team trusts everyone else on the team that they're there because they're going to do their best work.
Right.
And I think that really shows in the final product, and it takes a lot of stress off the whole thing because you're not worried about, whether someone's not pulling their weight or if someone doesn't understand like the creative vision for what we're doing. It's like we make it really clear at the very beginning and everyone's on the same page and everyone does their best. And, whether we win trophies or not, we're always proud with the work that we do.
Good. Good. That's a concern of mine. Is enjoy the process. The awards and the trophies will take care of themselves. Enjoy the process. Be in that moment of creativity and enjoy it. It's not something you should stress about. It's not something you should be anxious about. It's something you should be able to enjoy. Like the premiere is something you should be able to enjoy. Share it and revel in it. Gentlemen, thank you. Thanks for spending some time with me. That was a quick half hour. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and share your experience, and congratulations on your success at Bearfest. You guys you do well.